What's up, everybody? I'm Stan, and welcome to Detail Comics, where we go over comics in detail. This is a weekly one-shot where I go over a specific topic, dive into it in a little bit more depth, and give you a little bit of insight in case you want to dive a bit deeper into comic books. Make sure you subscribe to get more of these. The one thing that I want to talk about right now are the five definite things that you need to know about Shuri before you go into any kind of reading or comic book movie like, say, Black Panther that's coming out. The one that I want to talk about first is the fact that she is the youngest. This isn't just the fact that she is the youngest out of the, like Black Panther pantheon, being the only daughter of Queen Ramonda and T'Chaka. It's beyond that. It's all about how she's the youngest inside Black Panther's current continuity, at least specifically right now. She wasn't introduced until 2005 when she was in Black Panther Volume 4, and she was introduced in issue number 2. And being a young person, she always had the mindset that she wanted to be the first Black Panther, the first female Black Panther, and went so far as to disobey the Queen's orders, run down into the fighting ring where her uncle was taking on some sort of masked man, only to find out that it's T'Challa winning, the title of Black Panther from him. But she almost made it, and she was going to become the youngest and the first female Black Panther in Marvel history. The number two thing that I want you guys to know is that she wasn't always a gifted fighter. Even though she was running down to try and take on her uncle in this fighting ring, she was not necessarily up to snuff when it came to the level of combat that she really needed to be. And we find out more about that in issue number 6, where she takes the ebony blade and slices clean through the radioactive man, giving her her first real kill, which ultimately changes her psychologically. She wasn't really ready for that kind of responsibility, the weight of taking somebody's life. However, T'Challa, being the best big brother that he is, offered to train her and help mold her, so she became one of the most prolific fighters inside the Wakandan army. Thing number 3 that we should talk about is that she became the Black Panther. For somebody that had a life's mission of becoming the first female Black Panther, she finally achieves it, and that is in Black Panther Volume 5. I believe issue number 5 is when she finally dons the Black Panther costume. However, this isn't just, her becoming a superhero. This is her becoming the Queen of Wakanda, and, taking over the responsibilities of ruling. T'Challa has had some interesting rendezvous and explorations that he's really dealing with. He goes out into the world. He became Daredevil for a short period of time, and he goes into space. He does all these kind of things, especially when we're talking about things like the Illuminati, where he can't necessarily take on the responsibilities of Wakanda at the same time. So Queen Shuri, aka the first female Black Panther to really take responsibility for her nation, is one of those characters that I just start to like more the more that I get into how she's evolved over time. After all, you gotta respect the Queen. The thing is, as Queen, we're going to talk about number 4, and number 4 is going to be how she ordered the destruction of Atlantis. So in New Avengers, issue number 7, she makes the determination as the Queen of Wakanda to basically end this kind of uneasy, not necessarily truce, but this rivalry that's been going on between Atlantis and Wakanda for ages. So Namor, the prince and ruler of Atlantis, they've had some small skirmishes and conflicts. We have some emissaries that are getting killed from Wakanda. We have this, infiltration team that's getting killed from Atlantis. And it really makes the decision difficult and yet easy for Shuri, because Shuri as a queen is a fierce, tactical person. She is brutal, she is effective, and ultimately she has an edge to her that her brother T'Challa doesn't necessarily have, and that makes her considerably more aggressive when it comes to foreign relations as well as fighting and conflict. She always drives for that. It's possibly something that stemmed from her being the youngest and always trying to prove herself, especially to her big brother and her mother, Queen Ramonda, but it's going to kind of cost the entirety of Atlantis, the destruction of the city of Atlantis, which really sets up some harrowing stuff for later on in that run. So if you want to pick up a little bit more information on that, you can grab Infinity, which actually includes that entire arc for, Shuri as well as the destruction of Atlantis and what kind of recourse Namor takes in order to do that. But that leads us into number 5 as well. When we get into New Avengers issue number 24, this is the beginning of Time Runs Out. That's another collection that you can buy, which is part of Jonathan Hickman's great run on the Fantastic Four and New Avengers. But in number 5, she dies. So she's dead. When it came to Time Runs Out, she was not necessarily totally dead, but the one thing that happened to her was that she was captured in some sort of amber stasis cube, which really it was called the Living Death. And with it being the Living Death, she was trapped there, and at that point in time, T'Challa really had no other recourse. He had to become King of Wakanda again, and that leads us into Black Panther Volume 6, written by Ta-Nehisi Coates, with art by Brian Stelfreeze and a few other people that get in there, but his primary focus is to bring his sister's body back to life. So since she died, she has gone through this transition where her soul has found its way to, this kind of alternate space where she actually learns more about the Wakandan history. She learns more about the culture of the women that are inside Wakanda. She learns more about everything regarding this, and it actually transforms her and gives her powers beyond what a normal Black Panther would have. She gets the ability to transform either into a flock of birds or one giant bird, depending on what she wants. She has the ability to adapt to create stone skin around her, this flexible stone material that allows bullets to bounce off her, becoming more powerful than Shuri ever was as a Black Panther before, and taking her place as one of the strongest, if not the strongest, female figure inside Wakanda's, ecosystem, inside its entirety. Compared to the Black Panther, Shuri is every bit his equal, and sometimes more. I mean, these are two super geniuses. These are people that are on par with the best minds in the world between Shuri and between T'Challa. So if you're talking about a formidable brother and sister team, this is probably one of the best. But I want to know what you guys think about Shuri. I want to know if there's any kind of fun factoids that you really like about her character. So hit me up in the comments down below and we can start that conversation. As always, if you like what you see, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to get more news, reviews, and commentary on comic books, comic book news, comic book movies, TV shows, and anything and everything inside the world of comics.